What is up, guys? It's Keith Jamison, aka Gator Guy 231 across the DFS industry, and I am here and very happy to be back with a soccer preview of tonight, or this morning, if you want to call it, a K League slate. We got a two-gamer, and after some awesome prize pools yesterday that got nowhere near filming because DK, announced it to most of us, a couple hours before lock. Information was brutal to get to, so of course it was going to overlay. But they did slash surprise pools. But that said, they're still pretty good for soccer, especially in the showdown slates. So looking forward to just kind of going team by team. This isn't going to be exceedingly long. While I was able to get some more time to prepare and have a lot more data than I maybe did last night, it's still going to be a hard league to find some things. And until we get a few more games under our belt, definitely think there'll be an edge to be had for those people that are digging in, or if you're listening to Spot or you're in our Discord, you'll definitely have a head start on your competition. So looking forward to just jumping into it. Going to do this a little different than I've done in the past. I'm just going to go team by team, kind of give a little bit that I found on their styles, a couple top players. I will give at the end of a three-man core for the classic slate, and we'll go from there. So let's just jump straight into it. So we're going to start with Busan I Park at Pohang Steelers. Busan is a plus 262 dog. It's the biggest underdog on the slate. They are a promoted team facing the Pohang Steelers, plus 106, who is the biggest favorite. So, we don't have overwhelming favorites on this slate at all. We're going to start with the away team with Busan. So they were a team that was promoted. They finished second in the K League 2 last year. They led that league in goals with 72, and they, were one of the top scoring teams in all Korea. So they really are open, DFS-friendly team. That said, that openness gave them a lot of goals. They gave up 47 goals in 36 games last year. So their top player, actually, I do have a projected screen or a projected lineup. So, there are a couple of players. So Romelu is Brazilian. He plays kind of a number 10 role and is number 10. I think he's going to be on sets. He's an 8,300 midfielder. From what I've read, really is into unlocking a lot of the offense for Busan. He and Kim Jin-koo are really like the playmakers from in the center of the park. I think Romelu is going to be the biggest DFS asset, but 8,300 is tough for the biggest favorite. Whereas Jin-koo is 3,600, so that might be a decent value. But the real, star attraction is Lee Dong-ju. He was the MVP of K League 2 last year. 13 goals, 7 assists. Forward eligible, only 5,100. So I think for showdown, that will probably be a definite guy that you're going to want in your lineups. And, really could be in play on the classic slate too because of that. The other player that I've written down, Kim Hoon-won, is a Korean international, supposedly pretty attacking minded. He is 4,900, which is expensive for a defender. But, one thing that'll be interesting in this game to see is Busan plays very open. So, from what I can read, it should be pretty DFS friendly. But their opponent's Pohang is more of a counterattacking team. So, sometimes you'll see, even though Busan's a pretty big dog, they may have a lot of possession, a lot of chance to get some DFS goodness. So especially for GPP, I think that would be a really interesting mini stack or exposure. So on the Pohang side, let me grab that line. For Pohang, they finished fifth in the league last year. They did lose their star player, Wanderson. And not that Wanderson from the Europa Leagues or anything like that. It's a Wanderson that you've never heard of. But he had 15 goals and 9 assists. So that's be a lot to replace. They did sign Palacios. He played in K League 2 last year, but he's supposed to try to replace that. Scored 11 last year. 6,500, fairly good price for an attacker on the biggest favorite. The other two big offensive guys, Iljusenko, I do think probably may make my main lineup. 8,100 forward. He scored 9 goals and had 2 assists in 18 games for Pohang last year. So, against a team that's likely to concede some goals in I Park, I like him maybe getting on the end of a counter to score. The player, though, the two that I think are really going to be popular Paulo Savage is a former Portuguese League One player. When he came over, 5 goals, 4 assists in 16 games. Here's the issue: is like he doesn't have set pieces, or I don't think he's going to have set pieces. So he might be like a better real life player than DFS. That said, if they put up, 2, 3, 4 goals, he's likely to be a part of it. Kind of seems like he's going to do a lot of the orchestrating, but 9,100 is steep. I really like Brandon O'Neill, 4,200. Yes. I think he's like the guy that's going to have sets. And even if he didn't, 4,200, it's really hard to kill you. Like that's the kind of type of player, like I don't mind taking a risk on, because even if they don't end up with sets, they can still easily get you 5 to 7 DK, which is just fine. But he did take a lot of sets in the Australian League last year. Really quality player. So I think that he is somebody to definitely target, likely in my core. And then read a lot that people are expecting Song Min Koo to really break out. Young guy, 20 years old, had 2 goals, 3 assists, but supposedly his passing range is really really good. And again, he is, what's his price? I did not write it down. I think he is up there. If I remember, he's high 6,000s, but could be a good play. Obviously, we're always fullbacks are in play when you have a big favorite. Now, other thing, I think the interesting part, sometimes, with goalkeepers, it's one of the hardest parts of soccer, but I do like favorite goalkeepers when they are going to be seeing some action or seeing some shots, which it definitely seems like Po Hang Mei here, especially on a team that's promoted, they might be lacking a little bit of finishing quality. So, potentially, getting, 4 to 6 saves and, with a win or a clean sheet upside could be huge. So that wraps for the first game. The second matchup, we have FC Seoul plus 154. Slight favorite to Gangwon FC plus 171. While I don't have a formation, I did find one site that put out a projected 11s. So let's start with FC Seoul. We actually do have a little data because they played in a little Champions League at the beginning of the year. But they finished 3rd in the K League last year, 50 goals, 41 given up. They are more of like a counter-attacking team. And they did play well at the beginning of the season. Now, they have one player that is just standout on the slate to me, which is Chu Young Park. He is number 10, plays as kind of like a second striker, but also is almost on all of the set pieces. He's 8,400 for it, eligible. Is a lock in my lineup. One thing that would be really interesting to see is who starts at the number 9. So if it's Adriano, like this site has it predicted, first off, it's not that Adriano either. But he's 3,900, Brazilian player, which, obviously a lot of these Brazilian guys are a little more skilled than others. But 3,900 for a forward, playing the number 9, probably is a sub risk, but I think it's really worth it, especially for a GPP look, but even maybe in cash if you need that savings. If it's not him, it will probably be Alexander Pesic, who had 10 goals last season in 25 games. They do have one really good value here. Kwang Min Ko, so number 23, right here. He is a wing back for them, and he is midfield, which sinks, but he's 3,100. In that game earlier this season, he had 4 crosses, 2 key passes for 3,100, having kind of that attacking role. I think that's really solid. On Gangwon's side, last season they finished 6th, 48 goals, 47 given up. They are considered one of the higher possession teams in the league. And kind of, I've heard a lot of those passes are kind of backward. So, when I hear that, I automatically don't get as excited, but they did have a couple players that, if you looked at the logs from last season, did stand out. One of those players is Lee Jung-Jae, a 9,900 midfielder. Looks like he takes all their sets, scored 8 goals, had 7 assists. And the last 10 games, 8 of them were 10 plus DK. Now, 9,900 is steep. So he's not going to make my core, but if, I can kind of fiddle with some lineups and get him in there, obviously getting any sort of high floor will be big. Neither of these games have over a 3 total. So, points might be primary. That said, I kind of going to backtrack, but I do think Pohang has a chance to get a couple goals on Busan or vice versa. Busan really is as attacking minded as all reports are indicating. The other player I just want to bring up, and really the only other guy that could find anything else on Gangwon, is Lee Hyun-sik. He's number 29, 6,100, 6 goals, 2 assists, and had 7 of his last 13 games in double digits. So again, somebody that you can take a look at. So now, just before we wrap up, I'm just gonna quickly just go over some strategy, and then I'll give you a course. So, big thing for soccer, like, while we don't know a lot about all these players, we do know soccer basics, which is the wide guys are always going to be more DFS friendly than those centrally, unless they have some sets. So when you default or you're stuck, look wide. If you can find somebody that is an attacking wide in like a 4-3-3 or 4-4-2, they're always going to have some intrinsic DFS value. And all of those fails, if they're on a favored side, you should be able to get some DK out of them. So with that said, let me just give you a couple of my picks. So like I mentioned, we have Brandon O'Neill, 4,200, with the chances that he is on sets for Pohang is going to be in my lineup and likely in our court as long as he plays. The other lock, like I mentioned, is Chu Young Park at 8,400 for Seoul. And then finally, I do think right now I am planning to core, let me get his first name, Stanislav Ilusenko for Pohang with 9 goals. I just like that he had 47 shots last year. That is a little bit of a floor for a striker with that upside. So I do think we're going to need to try to get those goals. From what we saw last night, there's not a ton of guys that just have huge floors in this league. So I'd rather, take a risk on some goals. And for 8,100, I think it's pretty fair. I hope this helped. I really appreciate you guys joining. Please share the video and or the pod. It really does help. And last plug for the site, head over to fsidfs.com. Everything is free. All the cheat sheets that we have for the Korean baseball as well as the soccer league are up. And you can join our Discord server where, again, everything is free, core plays, whether it's esports, whether it's baseball, soccer, and whatever else is going to come up. We have NASCAR in a few weeks. We have PGA, covering everything we can. Really hope everybody is enjoying that. And once again, thank you for listening, and have a great day. Good luck tonight. Take care.